Welcome to the Freelance Journalism Podcast. I'm Catherine Reynolds Lewis, and as always, I'm thrilled to be here with my friend Erika Hayasaki and another amazing episode with Isabelle Kohn of Slate, who really got into it with specific examples of pitches that work for her and what she's looking for. Erika, what stood out for you about this interview?
Isabelle was great. She was very upfront and open about the kinds of stories she was looking for. She edits labor, gender, and sex stories, which is really fun and an interesting beat for an editor. And she's looking for story ideas. She's looking for new writers, but she also gets a lot of pitches. I think she gave the number of how many pitches she actually gets and how few of those she takes. So a few of the things that she mentioned that were really helpful were just notes on what not to do and then how to get her attention more directly.
So you won't want to miss this episode. We hope you enjoy it.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to introduce our guest today, Isabelle Kohn, who is a senior editor for Slate's Life section. She specializes in sex, relationships, gender, and randomly work. She used to freelance for Vice, Playboy, Harper's Bazaar, and many more, and acknowledges that that was hard work, as we all know. Welcome, Isabelle. Thanks so much for being here.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for talking with me.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump right in. I want to find out a bit about your career and how you got to become an editor at Slate, but you could even also tell us a bit about how you got into journalism and your freelancing life.
Sure. So I have a very atypical trajectory. I did not go to journalism school. I never thought that I was going to become a journalist. I actually got started doing like a Q&A sex column in like a local magazine in college. Sex and relationships have always just kind of been like the area of expertise that I specialize in. And after doing the column for a while, I was like, I guess I'm doing this. And I started like writing articles for this like little magazine. I actually really wanted to be a doctor or like an epidemiologist because I love diseases and like, I don't know, I studied like physiology and public health. And
Nice.
I can't wait to like track diseases. And then I was just writing for this magazine and I like continued to write for them. And then at some point had written for others and I was like, oh, I'm like a journalist question mark. So I really taught myself how to do it.
Wow.
No formal instruction at all, which is hilarious to me. And I just kind of went from there and I started like freelancing, sending pitches to people. And eventually I got a staff job at Mel Magazine, RIP. They were amazing. And now I work at Slate.
Wow, that's great. And you freelanced for a few years, and was that so you know what it's like to be on the freelance side of things, I guess.
Oh my God. Yeah. I think I freelanced for maybe like 8 years or something.
8 years.
Um, it is not for the faint of heart.
No, it's not. Yeah. But you learned to navigate that world and then came into editing. Do you like editing?
I do. I'm a slow writer. And so it's hard for me to write on staff. It does take me forever. And I'm like one of those people who goes long. Like I will talk to 12 people and I will turn in like 3,500 words. So like I'm not like writing. Isabel cannot do like a 700 word blog, but I can for sure do like a feature investigation.
Yes.
So at a certain point, I was like, this is a lot for me. So what if I did editing instead? And I found that I actually really, really enjoy being part of like the creative planning process and doing some of the more like high level, like voicey stuff. Like what do we actually want our magazine to say? Like what is like the voice? What is the personality? And then kind of working with writers to like help them bring out their own voice. That was really rewarding too. But I really do miss reporting, like pre-pandemic reporting when they would like fly you places.
Yes.
That was fun.
Well, can you talk a little bit about what you oversee for Slate and what kind of stories you're looking for? Does it include multimedia or is it particularly focused on print?
So I personally only do print. Slate also has a podcast arm, which I love, and I also have nothing to do with, so don't pitch me podcast ideas. I'm hoping that one day we'll expand into video, but currently it's just print. I do sex and relationships and work right now. So yeah, that's what I do.
And what is that? So, what are some examples of sex, relationships, and work stories that you're looking for? I guess it could be quite broad.
It could be broad, but the unifying thing with both of those is that we want stories that are new. They say something different. Maybe they refute a common conception in a new and unexpected way. It's got a twist. It's got a fresh perspective. It's actually pretty hard to say new things about sex and relationships. And the same with work. Like these are kind of like humans have been toiling and having sex. It's like the dawn of time, right? So it's actually difficult to find um the newness there, but Slate in particular, like the pitch has got to like add something to the conversation. So it's not simply that something has occurred. It's like yes, and like take us beneath the surface. Maybe I would accept a pitch from somebody who has a really unique experience with like a common topic that we don't hear from often. Can I just give an example?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so we had this really great reported essay from a writer who wanted to tackle Gen Z's relationship to dating, which has
Mhm.
been so covered. Like we know that
Right.
it has like their own like peculiar form of dating and sexuality. We know they're quote unquote having less sex. We know they're like not in relationship. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
for like years. We get it. But this person went way beneath the surface. She was a Gen Z writer herself.
Hmm.
So she was like, yes, we've heard that, but it's actually not for the reasons you think. It's actually the risk aversion of the population. And then she went really deep into her peers' fear of appearing cringe. And there's a lot of like introspection that she wove in there. So she gave another layer basically. She
Huh.
added to the conversation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was something unexpected in a sense, and
Yeah. And
not
like
something we've heard.
exactly. And that's really, really big for a slate.
Yeah. And how much freelance work do you take? Is it mostly freelancers? Do you have staff writers?
Yeah, so I have two staff writers. Everyone at Slate has like a different freelance to staff split.
Mhm.
Mine's maybe like 60-40 on the staff side. It kind of depends on the month. Obviously, like sometimes my staff writers are working on like longer pieces, so I have to rely more on freelancers. Sometimes they're turning out 2 to 3 pieces a week, but I would say roughly 60-40 staff.
Got it. And then um, you mentioned that piece earlier by the writer. Um, does it, I mean, typical Slate pieces, do they require kind of more voice reported essay style, or are there pieces that you're looking for at least that are heavier on reporting and long form, or what is the kind of ideal pitch for you?
So personally, this may be an unsatisfying answer, but it's really story dependent. Voice is huge at Slate.
Yeah.
Put some personality in there. I do not need this to sound like an ABC news piece. Like I want to see people's weird little freaky verbiage and like their thoughts and their opinions and their introspection. And I want vulnerability and I want humor when it makes sense, you know?
Hmm.
I I'm looking for essays, I'm looking for short blogs, I'm looking for reported pieces, I'm looking for reported essays. Like the format for me is like less important than the story itself. Um,
Yes.
am I getting that feeling where I'm like, I had no idea this is important?
Yeah. Yeah, it was so I remember that we connected via Substack, and I have a Substack called The Reported Essay, which thinks about writing and craft and interviews different writers.
Mm.
And I'm just wondering, do you think that that's a way that you usually look to find writers sometimes? Are you looking at places like Substack and the different how do you find these writers that you're looking
Um,
for?
Totally Substack, and like your Substack in particular, like I am looking for reported essays, and I will go to your Substack first to find writers who are impressive, and then I'll just reach out and say like I really liked your essay, like, and invite them to pitch Slate whenever, sometimes
Okay.
I just want them to have Slate like top of mind, right, when they have ideas. So I just
Yeah.
compliment and invite.
That's great. And then long form. What about long form? That's another question because I think about that a lot too. Like, what is the length that you're looking for? And do you take longer, ambitious kind of stories?
Absolutely, and I would actually love more long form,
Hmm.
because that's the language that I speak personally. Although I really do think that we actually need more shorter pieces.
Yeah,
It's pretty academic, so it's not like we don't have long form pieces on our site. We have a
sure.
lot of people doing some pretty like in-depth thinking about today's events, but I would love some long form pieces. I would love a piece that has like 7 sources. I would love some sort of investigation. Um,
Hmm.
yes, please.
Yes. So long form. And then what would be the pay rates for stories like these? What's the range?
Okay, so but let me actually go back to your former question first
Yeah, yeah, please.
related to pay. So at Slate, it's really not important about the length. Like
Okay.
if you're gonna pitch us, like I do not care about that. I just it's a story has a natural length.
Hmm.
So if you can get your point across in 500 words, great. If you are gonna go deep and you want to send something that's 4,000 words and your idea merits that, then great. And we will adjust the pay accordingly. We do not pay by word. Uh,
Got it.
we give like flat rates that are very different based on the level of reporting, to some extent the length, but it's not like per word. Um,
Hmm.
is it original reporting? Is it an essay? What's the format? If it's a Q&A, that takes a lot less time than actually like reporting something out sometimes, or like writing a really thoughtful essay. So
Hmm.
it's varies piece to piece. We start at 350 and then we often go much higher, especially if we've worked with you before and you've like demonstrated that you are going to file like clean copy on
Hmm.
time and your idea is like fire. It's going to be probably more than 350 if the length and reporting merits it.
Hmm.
But
So
yeah,
it's
it depends.
yeah, so it's a range based on sort of the work and the time and the relationship that you're building, it
Yeah.
sounds like.
And we have budgets and stuff, right? Like I can only offer so much, but
Yeah. Oh, and a couple follow-ups to that. Do you pay upon submission, acceptance, or publication? Do you have kill fees?
yes,
Can writers negotiate?
yeah, we do have kill fees. Like if it doesn't work out, like we're happy to pay a kill fee. And what was the other question? The other question.
Oh, can the rate be negotiated usually?
To some extent, it really depends on the factors. Like I have had situations in which I have sent a draft back and I've said like this actually needs like a lot more reporting, and so like I'm gonna bump your rate up because I'm having you do more work. But it's like if you pitch an idea and I'm like this is a $600 idea and you're like can I get 800? Like I like probably not if I haven't worked for you before, but if we're gonna drastically change your piece or you're gonna add length to it, or like you just got like a scoop that no one else has and you're gonna offer it to Slate specifically, then like we can talk.
Yes, yes. And then also when it comes to contracts, that's another issue that particularly at the IIJ we're really um, thinking about. Are there copyright terms, license terms, or is there a work for hire contract? Do you know any
So
answers?
yeah, so I'm definitely not the best person to like speak on like the specifics here, but broadly we have like a standard freelancer agreement. Um the copyright stuff I'm not an expert on. But if you want to know, you can always email me and I can ask the right person. there's like intellectual property. People sometimes want to know, like, can I use this idea for like a book? Can I spin it off or something? We can talk about that. That's never actually happened to me during my tenure at Slate,
Hmm.
but it has happened in the past. So I think that there's some sort of situation in which you can use your ideas for other things.
Yeah, great. And then I know you gave a couple examples earlier of stories that really worked for you, but I wonder if there are particular freelance pitches recently that maybe you could give examples of that also we could look at and read and just think about when writers are pitching you as well, and what made them work for you.
Yeah, so my favorite one to use as an example was a reported essay from a veterinarian who was talking about the extremely high suicide rate of vets. This is something
Hmm.
it's no longer the sections I work in, but I'm just saying it's a really good pitch.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So he wrote a really emotionally resonant and introspective essay about how emotionally difficult it is to work with people who all day long are screaming at you because they have to put their dog down, right? And vets have a very, very high suicide rate, and like that nobody is
Huh.
signing up to be vets anymore. Like it's a difficult profession. They're like super underpaid. Um,
Huh.
it is not easy, and all day long they're just dealing with the most intensity from people and from animals, right? So
Yeah.
you write about like a specific situation in which a family wanted him to put a puppy down that was like otherwise gonna survive. And it played on heartstrings. So here's a fresh perspective. It's from a veterinarian. You don't often hear like really colorful, like well articulated things from veterinarians who take you inside the actual like day to day of their emotional world or their job, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got an original perspective. You have a much more in-depth take on high suicide rates amongst
Hmm.
veterinarians. There's a lot of transformation that occurs in that piece. Like he starts out thinking one thing, and then this incident was so emotional for him that he left in a different state than he started. That's really
Hmm.
helpful in stories is it transformation? Like where is the narrative going, right? Like
Yes.
that's so fascinating to read about. Uh,
Yeah. There's an evolution.
yeah, so yeah, it was original and heartbreaking, and it really worked.
Yeah, that's a surprising story. And so they had sort of an inside point of view. Um,
Yeah.
and and I'm imagining, was there a bit of reporting or just like why this is something that
Mhm.
happens
Yeah,
with,
there was a fair amount of reporting, but we cut some of it because it interrupted the flow of his actual like personal experience and then became academic. So we cut it down to what was necessary. You know,
yeah,
it gave reported context for like the issue,
yeah,
but it didn't like totally take the reader out of like the scene per se.
yeah. Are there any other examples too? That one is so great,
Yeah.
but are
Yes.
there any
Okay.
others?
Actually, I have a sex example because, I think
Yeah.
this is actually one of the hardest things to pitch about. Like it truly is not an easy thing. So I have a writer that I used to work with at Mel who is like super talented. His name is C. Brian Smith. And for most of his life, he has been in the world as a gay man. He is really attracted to men. He's had boyfriends, but secretly he was actually also attracted to women. And when he would talk about this with his gay friends, they would be like, ew, like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're not really like a gay man. And they would make him feel really awkward and like,
Yeah.
it would really put him down about that. So he, in his 40s, after like, decades of being like, I actually am bi. He
Yeah.
decided to work with a surrogate partner to explore what it's like to have sex with women in a safe and like slow paced, low pressure environment where he didn't have to like go on a date in the real world and like quote unquote perform or like know what he was doing because he had never really like been with women before, right? So this is a perspective we don't often hear about, right? We don't
Mhm.
hear from bi men very often.
Yeah.
Um, and he's doing something that is so explorative with himself. and so fascinating. And it was really vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
It's a new twist on surrogate partner therapy, which had kind of like a media moment in like, I don't know, 2015, 2016, 2017, right?
Yeah.
But it's not just surrogate partner therapy exists. This is a new usage of it. Like this is an uncommon usage of that form of therapy.
Yes.
And yeah, it was just relatable in his desire to explore himself. So that was a great sex one. And then I have a good work one too.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be.
Um, so this one was actually really simple. Like this one was also from like a younger Gen Z writer, and he was like, everyone in my generation stays at jobs for like 2 to 3 years, and there's like lots of research about that, right? So like
Mhm.
younger people tend to hop from profession to profession, from office to office. There's an idea that if you stay at the same place, you're like ossifying there in like an almost like boomer-esque way. But his
Mhm.
argument, now he's refuting the norm. He's going, I disagree. I'm going to stay at this job for 1 million years. I will die here. And here's why, right? So that's a
Yeah.
fresh take on something that we already know. And it was
Yeah.
and it had personality and like
Voice.
personal anecdotes and stuff. So yeah, it was a new it added to the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, you must get a lot of pitches. And so you're sort of, I mean, how many pitches do you usually get? Are you inundated? How do freelancers break through and writers break through your inbox to like grab you with that kind of idea that's really different and unique and counterintuitive?
Yes, I get a lot of pitches. I think honestly my acceptance rate is like 2 out of 100 or like 1 out of 50. It's not it's hard. The
Yeah.
not easy. The grabbing thing is this piece saying something new or different?
Hmm.
About something that we already know? Or is it changing my mind? Is it taking me beneath the surface? Is it relevant? And most often the thing that catches my eye is somebody has done the due diligence to do a clip check, right?
Yeah.
A lot of
That's a basic thing we need to do, right?
yeah, a lot of people have great ideas and they think that they're original, but they're not, unfortunately. Like they've been like heavily discussed, right? Like
Yes.
today I got a pitch that was like um why women shouldn't deal with men being difficult. So not only is that like broad, but it's like, okay, what? So like men are difficult is, like they
Not new.
no. No,
Yeah. And that also sounds like a very broad topic. It's not like a story that's taking
that
you into somebody's life or
yes.
experience.
Pitch me a story, please. Give me characters, give me stakes, give me transformation, give me relevance. Like give me something to sink my teeth into. Like it is unfortunately not enough for you had like a person to like undergo something. Like my grandpa died, right?
Right.
Like that is very sad, but like what are you trying to say here? And one thing that I often tell writers that kind of helps is can you write your lead and your nut graph in the pitch? Like tell me what you're gonna get at here. What is like the so what of this? And
Yes.
most importantly, tell me how it's adding to the conversation. How's it
Yeah. And those pitches are usually how long for you? Because they can range. Like, do you want to see that kind of arc of the story in the pitch?
totally?
Yeah.
Like if I've worked with a writer so much that they can like shoot me bullet points and I trust them to run with it, that's one thing. But if you're new to Slate, give me give me some meat in your pitch because I've never worked with you. I don't know how far you've thought this out. I don't know like what your purpose is here. And in fact, I often prefer complete drafts if you have them
Yeah. That's interesting. Because
commissioning a writer that I've never worked with before off of like a very minimal idea is like it's dangerous for me and the writer too because
yeah,
they might do work that I have to kill later because I don't actually know where they're going with that.
sure. Yeah.
So yeah.
No, it's good to know the different elements and just to know what the story is going to entail for you too, and to see how they're writing, if it's strong or something that you're looking for, especially if you're getting 100 pitches
Yeah,
um, at
that's
a
a really
time. Yeah.
Really, really good point. Thank you for saying that. I can see that you're writing. If you pitch,
Right.
you flesh your pitch out more. That is so important. Because like you might have
Yeah.
a great idea, but like you might not be the right writer in this exact situation, which is totally fine. Right. But
Yeah.
like I would love to see if you are, so I can hire you.
Yeah. And it sounds like the pitch examples that you gave are reported essays and that they have the writer going through events. Are there cases too where somebody might, like a reporter has come across another person's really compelling story and is
Mhm.
telling that story? Are there any pitches like that that have worked for you or that stick out, like reporting on somebody, but maybe they even braid in themselves because it's a
Yeah.
really, yeah,
Like, I'm gonna give a staff pitch as an example because this staffer was a freelancer for his entire career and he only recently started working at Slate.
yeah,
Um, so there was a piece about how all of the employees at Trader Joe's, like there's like this undercurrent of like sexual tension between all of them, and like people have like written about it on Reddit and like tweeted about it, and everybody's like, what is happening at like Trader Joe's? There's all these like hot, like seemingly like open people who just, it just feels like when the store closes, like X-rated things happen. So the writer went and looked into that. So he's not a character in the story, but like he is
yeah.
picking up on something a lot of people are feeling and then investigating it from like a third person perspective.
Interesting. Great. Well, those are great examples, and we'll link to those too in the show notes. So do you have any like advice on these are just little things, but you say you get so many pitches. Are there days of the week that are good for pitching? Like if you have meetings, I don't know if you have meetings there where you go over pitches or if it's all like is that's all what you do and you get to make the decision. Also same with like subject lines, like are there ways to just not even get opened at all? Um, Things like that. Some of these little kind of small details, again, to try to break through the inbox.
Totally. So unfortunately, there's no good time to send a pitch. Um, I would probably not send it over the weekend, but like
Yeah.
I'll probably see it, honestly. Like I'm looking all the time. Like I'm desperate for good freelance pitches. So like I'm always in my inbox. Sometimes it's really overwhelming in there, but I'm in it.
Yeah.
Subject line, make it the most interesting part of your piece. Like if you want to write like a headline, like we write our own headlines, but it's helpful if you take a stab at it as a subject line,
Hmm.
or like distill your nut graph into like whatever will fit into a subject line. Um,
Yeah.
Make it like email clickbait, like get me to click on that. What's interesting about it?
And then like looking forward, like right now we're in such a heavy news cycle. How do you think about stories in relationship to the news cycle? Like, do
Yeah.
do they need that peg? Do you not want that peg? Especially like what are you thinking about in terms of the inundation of like different things that inundating us with all of the different, you know, things that are happening with the administration and just in our lives right now.
Um, for Slate, a news peg always helps.
Yeah.
It has to be fresh. Like the pandemic is not a news peg.
Yeah.
Anniversaries, hey, it's Nash like 34 years ago a movie came out. That's not a peg. It's like a peg is I don't know. I'm making this up. Donald Trump is wearing a big dogs t-shirt today. Like let's talk about the history of big dogs in the Republican Party, that does have happened like somewhat recently.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not, it doesn't have to have happened like yesterday. Like Slate is like a second day news site, and that like a lot of our stories are like, okay, that happened already. We're gonna take you now beneath the surface of that.
Yeah.
So the peg is great because that gives you an opportunity to go beneath the surface of something that's currently happening. So
Yes.
it's not required. Particularly, there's a lot of evergreen stuff that happens in life specific.
Yeah.
Um, but it always helps for sure.
Yeah. And I think that's helpful for people to know too. It's not like you're trying to get the immediate news take, but it's the deeper kind of what's the reflection after the news and what can you add to it?
Exactly.
Some perspective. For reporting and interviewing, do you have any standards that you have to uphold? I'm assuming, um, they are the sort of basic journalism standards, but, conflicts of interest, a lot of freelancers nowadays do, different kinds of content work and things like that. Um, what is important for journalists coming in to pitch you to know just about standards for Slate?
I guess I'm slightly confused by your question.
Oh, just like standards for reporting and interviewing, email interviews. Are there
Oh, okay.
conflicts of interest? I mean, this is sort of basic journalism things that
Okay, so
people know in journalism school, I guess, or like or if they've been doing journalism for a while, but
our standards are we don't do anonymous bylines.
yeah,
Can't do anonymous sourcing if it merits it and we internally verify things. Email,
anonymous sourcing. Yeah.
yeah, email interviews are totally fine. Um, Phone interviews are totally fine. Man on the street interviews are totally fine. It doesn't really matter like how you talk to your source per se, although like often you get more color if you're talking to them live. Um,
Yes.
I would always encourage that because it's, I don't know, you can tell things from like the tone of somebody's voice that can be instructive. What else is it?
Oh, I think conflict of interest is something that a lot of freelancers these days, because it's very hard to survive as a freelancer alone.
Mhm.
So you'll find freelancers doing like content work for, sometimes it's academic publication, sometimes it's for a corporation. I mean, I think it's pretty standard to understand you shouldn't be doing freelance journalism around the company that's also paying you, but like, what are your hard stop rules on that? Travel journalism sometimes has a lot of rules because, they're funded trips, and then, places will not take necessarily stories that are funded by some travel company or something like that.
Okay.
Those kind of things.
We don't have like extremely limiting conflict of interest stuff right now. Like we just say it in the piece. Like for example, somebody wanted to like a hotel invited a writer down to Aruba to renew his vows, and he was super against it. In the beginning,
Mm.
so stupid. And his wife was like, "Oh my God, I hate this. Let's go." They went and they had a totally surprising experience. So, we're not boring having a transformation and like learning something about yourself and your relationship. Interesting. So,
Yes.
uh,
Interesting.
we had just had him like breezily put in there that like he was invited down by a hotel.
Yeah, disclosed it.
Yeah, just disclose it. And that's going to really depend on the situation. And the particular story, but certainly just simply disclosing it's going to go a long way in a lot of situations.
Yeah. And you're also just like actively looking for writers, and you get 100, like tons of pitches, but you're also out there, like I said earlier, going through Substacks, finding writers whose work you appreciate. Can you just talk about that part of it too? Because editing, like you're looking for the perfect kind of story for you, but it doesn't just mean because you get a lot of pitches, you're getting those stories all the time because your acceptance rate is so hard to break through too. But like, how do you begin to notice writers in the world besides Substack, maybe, or maybe if you turn to Substack, what are you looking for?
Honestly, Substack is so helpful. Like again, Substacks like yours that like curate people who are really good at what they do. I mean, that is like candy for editors. Other than that, I just go to like the websites that I think are doing a really good job. Like, everyone constantly cites the cut for stuff, especially with essays.
Yeah.
I don't know, uh I don't all of them. The Atlantic is
And
doing great stuff. I just go there and then I see like who's doing a really good job. Wired has really good journalists a lot of the time, like the Daily Beast every now and then has like somebody where I'm like, whoa. Uh,
yeah.
Rolling Stone has extremely talented people for certain applications too. So I just go there and then if they are a staff writer, then I am like, okay, they're not,
Harder.
yeah, right. I'm not gonna probably not gonna reach out to them because they probably can't talk to
For,
me. And so if they look like they're a freelancer, then I will usually reach out to them and say like, hey, pitch Slate next time.
Yeah. And when you reach out, it sounds like if you find their website or their LinkedIn, are those ways that you find them then?
I am never on LinkedIn, and like I think I sent you guys my LinkedIn begrudgingly. I have like I
That's
can't
fine. Everybody's different. Yeah. I
please
didn't
don't
get on it until like a year ago.
anybody who's
So
listening to this, please do not reach
don't
out
do
to
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. No, just email is great. Yeah, social media and LinkedIn, I'm personally never on to look for writers. It's gonna be Substack and that's gonna be other websites.
That's good to know. Because like a lot of times in the past, it was Twitter before it was X, but then that sort of seems like that model for finding writers and connecting editors and writers has really fallen apart.
Oh, it sucks so bad. And I'm not even on Blue Sky.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm so not a social media person. Like I have no presence. Like I am just not that person. I cannot find myself. Twitter used to be great. I used to find stories on Twitter. I used to
Yeah.
3 million journalists, and then I'd go, oh my God, like this person is so cool. So tweets would turn into articles.
Totally. Yeah.
I really miss that. Maybe
Yeah.
I should probably get on Blue Sky to hunt for people. Other editors are definitely doing that, I would think.
Yeah. No, but you're clearly actively finding writers still in your ways, and I'm glad you're looking at the Substack and just reaching out to the writers um whose voice you like, because I think that's also good for writers to know. Like every time you publish a piece, you never know who's reading it and who that could lead to another assignment somewhere else too. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's very heartening. And then just for writers who want to pitch you, can they just what do you want to just share your email, or we could share it in the show notes or something like that? Or what's the easiest way? I know because
Just
you already get a lot.
yeah, just email me. I know, but I want more. Like I
You
really
want more.
want more quality pitches. Please pitch me and please um make it interesting. But yeah, they can email me. It's just my name, Isabelle, which is ISABELLE.KOHN as in Nancy at slate.com.
Awesome. Well, I hope that you get some really great pitches
Me
from this.
too.
And I will also be sending along writers as they come, because now I actually have a few ideas for you. So
Oh my God,
I
I'm
hope
so
to share them.
excited.
But thank you so much for being here. This was really fun to talk through the kinds of stories you're looking for. And I think this advice that you're giving is it's helpful to pitch you and just to be a freelancer out there, to think about like how to get your stories noticed by editors.
Totally. I'm so happy to be here and I love talking about this. And can I part with two things that
Please do. Yeah.
okay. So uh one of the questions that you guys sent me before so I could think about it was like what should you do and what should you not do in a pitch?
Yes.
I really would like to relieve people of the burden of having to state their educational qualifications and backgrounds and their personal bios. Like I got a lot. Like, hi, I'm Mary. I live in Connecticut with my 2 dogs. Okay, what's your story? A lot of the times, like sometimes I get pitches that are is paragraphs of people's qualifications. I don't care.
That's not you don't need to know where they got their degree from or anything.
And like maybe someone else cares. Like
Right.
I'm not speaking for all editors, but like
Sure.
but we for the most part care about your stories and like our and your writing. Like I it does not make any difference to me if you went to Columbia Journalism School at all.
It's
Like
good to, yeah.
it,
Anybody can write for you that can tell a good story.
yes, anybody can write for me and I would just want to hear the pitch.
Yeah.
Like but and if you want to like briefly mention that, but I'm just trying to save you time, right? The other
Yeah.
the other thing is there's a habit that some writers have, like if we reject a pitch, they will send somewhat passive aggressive notes like, well, I placed it in the Daily Beast, like here's a link. And we're always like, okay, like we rejected it. So good for you. Like it feels like this kind of like it feels like this bizarre passive aggressive thing, and then it
Right.
weird taste in our mouth. I don't know where people learned that. I don't know if people in like tell you to do that, but it's very odd. Please
So that
don't.
happens a lot. That it happens enough where you notice it.
Yeah,
People, maybe they're just trying to prove or something that
it feels
their
like
idea.
that. It feels like
That's
that's
interesting.
it feels like they're saying you were wrong, and like as if we don't know what the best stories for our own publication.
Right.
So it instantly
Yeah.
contentious and like a little bit like, look what I did. And you're like, I hope that you placed it somewhere else. Like that's
Yeah.
why we rejected it. And I'm like, great for you. I don't know what they want us to say. So I'm also
Yeah.
trying to save you all time. You don't need to do it. Like,
Yeah. And also it sounds like just taking the rejection personally. Maybe that's like a people are taking it personally and
yeah,
they feel like they have to prove, but like when you kind of step back and think of the machine of any publication, there's so like again, hundreds of pitches, all the different needs that, what's been done before, what's in the pipes. So much of it is not about you as a writer or if your idea was even good. It could
no.
just be that it's not the right fit.
Totally. Like we're so specific. Every publication is super specific. And like I really do mean that we accept very little like freelance pitches.
Yeah.
We have a mission statement, we have like a voice, we have a topic requirement, we have that those topics have to be written about in a certain way. Here, it doesn't mean your idea is bad at all. It just might mean that Slate is not necessarily the right venue for your ideas, and a much better venue exists out there. And I hope that you go and find it. So it's totally do not take this personally at all,
Yeah.
at all. And like, especially please, maybe this is a good advice for like younger writers who probably
Totally.
you don't need to put yourself down. You don't need to like, I get a lot of people going like, this is probably like a bad pitch and like you're not gonna like it, but here's a draft.
Oh no. Yeah. Like I'm not that good, but here you are like already criticizing themselves where they don't need to do that at all. Yeah.
No, no, all you need to do, the only thing that you need to do is save yourself time, save yourself energy. Just send me the pitch and as fleshed out as you possibly can, and hopefully a full draft, and then we'll go from there. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, and I would imagine too, I think confidence or the illusion of confidence at least goes a long way. Like, you're just, here's what I've got. I've done this work, but if you're already kind of presenting your insecurities, that's distracting too for the editor to read.
Yeah, totally. And then it makes us feel responsible for your emotions, but it's not it's about that. It's this we're just doing business.
Got it.
Um,
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice. And again, that's all across the board. Like, and that's the kind of advice you can take years and years into your career. You could be doing this 40 years and like, that, your pitches are not always going to get accepted. And it's going to save you a lot of emotional turmoil if every one of them like sends you into a tailspin or you take it personally because it's part of
yeah,
the job. Unfortunately, it's just part of the job.
it is unfortunately, and like you should see the amount of work that we have to do on a daily basis. Like we all wish that we could give you a personalized response about what exactly doesn't work.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just simply doesn't work for us, and like we don't need to take it further.
Yeah.
And that does suck because I do remember freelancing and like I was always like, well, why doesn't it work, right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
became an editor and I realized how difficult it is. So it's just like we just know that it does or it doesn't.
Yeah.
In some cases, we might take the time to explain it. In some cases, like we just don't. We just can't.
Yeah. You can't. You don't have the bandwidth to possibly do that with every person.
The bandwidth, and sometimes it's not actually articulatable. It's just like you know what you're looking for, and like it's not that this idea is bad. It's just not a Slate idea.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I think that's great advice. And thank you for being honest about it too with everybody. I think it's refreshing to just hear this is what it is and it's not you. It's the business we're in.
Totally. It's just it's business, baby.
It's a
It's
business.
it's really not you. And like I really want everyone to get their stuff on the right site. That's what that feels good because then that's the best use of their idea is the right site.
Totally. I know we're like running out of time, but I actually have one more question just to
Yeah.
close it. Like, did you ever have a story that just took off and you're just like really proud to see it, you knowing how difficult it is to get a pitch in, like a story just sort of takes off and like really kind of the writer gets a lot of attention for it. It really does help their kind of
Yeah.
trajectory, you know what I mean? Their career in some sense, because every clip that gets noticed does help your
Um,
career arc.
That I edited or wrote
Or
myself.
just an example. Yeah, you personally, or edited, or any story that's just an example for somebody who is, also that inspiration to just keep pitching, for everybody to just keep pitching their ideas.
Yes. Okay. So Slate's most popular article in the past 2 years is one called "The Man at My Door," and it was by a writer named Pamela Kripke, I think is how you pronounce her last name.
Okay.
On face value, this pitch is not that interesting. And it was a woman who had a weird neighbor, right? But the altercation that they had was actually really tense. So now we're getting
Huh.
things. Now we are getting some stakes. And
Yeah.
the neighbor was wrong about this person. She was totally wrong. And then she called herself out. She looked at her own biases, and she was like, I really should not have done what I've done. And then within that story, there was like someone died. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, wow.
So there was drama, there was introspection, and there was neighbor drama. Like that people
Right.
love neighbor drama, right?
Yeah, of course.
And she wrote about it really good. So this one blew up.
Really?
Blew up. I think it's I have to check it. At least last year it was like our most popular article in like a couple of years. And it was so simple because
Yeah.
it plays on relevant emotions, but gives something a newness, a difference, right? And that was an
Yeah.
evergreen story. It didn't have a news peg.
Yeah. Yeah, like sometimes the stakes don't have to be life or death, although it sounds like there was a death here, but it's like these stakes that are lower stakes, but the stakes feel high for those of us reading it who have just these turmoil within relationships, neighbors and whatnot, and that's something that people really connect to. So
Yeah,
those
it was a literary take on Nextdoor.
oh, yes, that sounds well, we'll have to put that one also in the show notes. That sounds really
Totally.
like a
I think it's really instructive because I almost passed on it because I was like, whatever. And then I was like, oh shit, like she really like went there, you know?
and so as you kept reading the pitch, you were kind of convinced that there's something really here.
Yeah, it was intriguing. It was mysterious. Like I kept reading, like I kept I wanted to know what happened.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Well, that's a great example. Well, thank you so much for being with us, for taking the time and helping everybody understand the kinds of stories that you're looking for. And
Of
we look
course.
forward to reading more and pitching you more.
Please do pitch me, and even if you pitch me something that's not my desk, I will just refer you to the right person.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Isabel.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
The Freelance Journalism Podcast is a production of the Institute for Independent Journalists. Our mission is the emotional and financial sustainability of freelancers of color. Learn more about our work at theiij.com and use the code POD10 for a discount on our annual conference and other events open for registration now. That's POD number 10. And please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, or both. You can find our free webinars and other offerings on YouTube. And your recommendation and sharing with friends is the greatest compliment and helps us discover new listeners. Thanks for listening.